Let's complete the notes for factoring trinomials or factoring quadratic expressions. Here's our example, 2x squared minus 11x plus 5. First step, it says to set up the generic rectangle. So we're going to make a generic rectangle, and we're going to complete it by looking at this and saying you have 2x squared and a 5. So we know the 2x squared goes in the bottom left of that box, and then the positive 5 goes in the top right. Next, it says to set up the top and the bottom of the diamond problem. So when we create our own diamond problem, we remember that when you multiply the 2x squared times 5, that is equal to a 10x squared. Now the sum is our negative 11x. So that has to go in the very bottom of your diamond problem. So the product of 2x squared times 5, the very first term and the last term goes in the top of the diamond problem. The middle term, which is the sum, goes in the bottom. Now you complete your diamond problem, so that's step 3 here, solve the diamond problem. So two numbers that multiply to 10 that add up to a negative 11x. Those both have to be negative in order to add up to be a positive 10. So that's going to be a negative 10x and a negative 1x. Step 4 says to fill in the rest of the generic rectangle. Now, typically you would just go back and fill this one, but I'm going to complete it here so that you see a step-by-step process in the thought process, I guess, of how to complete your notes for the factoring trinomials. So 2x squared was in the bottom left, a positive 5 was in the top right. Now that I've completed the left and right side of my diamond problem, I know that those go in the remaining boxes. It does not matter which spot you put them in, as long as you put them in separate places. So negative 10x there and negative 1x here. Step 5 is to determine the dimensions of the rectangle. So as I take a look at this, I look at this column here, I have a 2x squared and I have a negative 10x. So I can pull a 2x out of there because 2 goes into 10 nicely and have an x squared and an x. If that's the case, over here on the left, it has to also be an x in order to get 2x squared. If I have an x over here, this must be negative 1 on the bottom right in order to get a negative 1x. And in order to get a negative 10x when you have a 2x down here, that dimension carries through. This must be a negative 5. 2x times negative 5 is a negative 10x. Negative 5 times a negative 1 is a positive 5. So those work for the dimensions. Now it says to write the area as a product. We have this written here not because there's always going to be addition, but just for you to think of that you're always going to have these two groups, where one group is going to be the length and one is going to be the width, or base and height, depending upon how you think about your area. So the area as a product is these dimensions. So 2x minus 1 will be the first one down here, and then over here you have x minus 5. So the top and the bottom, the top comes from the product of the diagonal of the generic rectangle, where the bottom is your x term. It's the x term of your quadratic. Once you have that, you can fill in those boxes, find the dimensions, and that would be your area as a product. So this is a great way to have a step-by-step process to no matter what you're given for your quadratic expression, you should be able to factor it.